الإسرائيلية إسرائيل كاتس إن الجيش سيواصل مهاجمة قوات
as if someone in the Mossad was sitting there, wait, let her say Israel Katz. When she said Israel Katz, boom!
She was talking about Israel's defense minister. The minute she's talking about Israel's defense minister, the defense ministry behind her blew up. That's
like, I don't know. It can't be a coincidence. It's just too good.
That's right. All right, folks. Yishai Fleisher here. Israeli allies, the Druze, are under attack in Suwaida, which is an area east of Israel, in Syria, a little bit north of Jordan. And the images coming out of there are horrific. We all know that the Syrian government comes from Al-Qaeda, from jihadis, but they were making faces. They were pretending that, you know, they're not jihadist anymore. And yet we saw what they did with the Alawite community. And there's a tension that exists between this new Syrian government that, remember, the Assad regime fell because Hezbollah was struck. The jihadists came down, took over Syria, but they made overtures seeming to be pro-normalization, pro-getting along with all the various groups. And yet there's horrible images of a whole army heading towards Al-Suwaida, which is a stronghold of the Druze, the mountain of the Druze, Jabal Druze, which is about, I think, 700,000 Druze in that area. And there seems to be a yearning for a bloodbath. In fact, some of the videos out of hospitals and other places really show horrific things. And yet it's not exactly clear what's going on. Well, Israel is not waiting around, and it's starting to strike in Syria. We're going to see an incredible video of the Syrian offices of defense, the Syrian Pentagon, being bombed and exploding right in the middle of the day. Israel is reacting strongly. But I want to hear from somebody who really understands what's going on. And I'm honored to invite my friend Mansur Ashkar, who's an Israeli Druze, a father, former IDF Special Forces officer, an influencer, and he's living in Germany today. Mansur Ashkar, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure it's not an easy time for you. Let's try to get a sense of what's going on, and then we'll get to the videotape. How do you understand the situation?
What's happening right now is what we, the Middle Eastern, have been telling the West for so long, that Al-Jawlani is ISIS, is Al-Qaeda, his people are ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and Syria was abducted by a terrorist organization. Just like Hamas abducted Gaza, Syria did that on a national scale. Today's images prove that beyond all doubt. If anyone had any doubt, you just need to watch these horrific videos of women, children, elderly slaughtered in a hospital. October 7th videos, people put on the floor on their knees, shot to death, shaving the mustaches of religious leaders, just like we saw in the Holocaust. It's a way of humiliation that the Islamist, that has been quite known and common in the Muslim world and in the Nazi regime, to rejoice over death, to desecrate the dead. We're seeing that right now happening in a grand scale, and it's not happening by random factions of jihadists. It's happening by the government with the jihadists alongside. You see ISIS flag, Al-Qaeda flag, regime flag, all going together. Now, they came in the beginning in the premise as if they're coming to help protect the Druze, and then they declared some kind of a ceasefire, which was a hudna, the same like they did in Haybar ya Yahud. And then at night, the forces that came to protect the people were the ones to ride with tanks and artillery and Grad rockets into villages in order to ethnically cleanse and kill every single Druze. We're seeing it happening right now.
What was the impetus? What launched this conflict?
So the excuse.
Wait, let's make it clear. For the Syrian jihadis, the Al Qaeda, the ISIS folks, the Druze are a type of kuffar, like a type of unbeliever, a type of what's it called?
Infidels.
Infidel. That's right. Right. So okay, we know that, but doesn't Al-Jawlani, like, don't they want normalization? They were about to sign some papers. They just got out of American. They just lifted the sanctions. they want normalization with Israel. Like, why launch into an ethnic cleansing war with the Druze? It's not good timing. Like, why do that?
Not good timing. They read the map wrongly, but one of the reasons they did that is because of the lifting of the sanctions and because of the normalization, Macron shaking his hand, Donald Trump shaking his hand. That gave the regime there and their followers the feeling like the West is now supporting them, like they fell for the trap. They think we're the good guys. And now what they tried to do, they just didn't do it well. They tried to portray the Druze as terrorists and then saying they refuse to give up their weapons, so we're going to go and take their weapons. But meanwhile, they were actually arming the real terrorists. Now, they were hoping that the world will fall for that, and some were falling for that, as they were going to disarm the terrorist Druze so they can protect the nation. But what they actually were planning to do is ethnically cleanse, and that was what they planned from the beginning. Jawlani started in Al-Qaeda and ISIS, as you remember, and there's clear videos of him saying that his goal is to one day cleanse all of Syria from anyone who's not Sunnah. And that is exactly what he's doing.
Let's take a look at a few videos. First video, and I want you to help translate here. Here's a very powerful video, released by somebody who was a friend of the Syrian army. Let's watch.
إلى الهجر المجنون عميل بني صهيون أيقال في أرض الشام تعايش ويسب فيها نبينا ونسامح هيهات يا ابن الحاقد تترك آمنا وتظن أنك سالم أو رابح فإذا غضبنا غضبة عمرية سلت لها عند اللقاء صفائح والله ثم الله عند الملتقى لتحوم من فوق البطاح جوارح لن تكون هناك دولة فيدرالية ولا تقسيم لسوريا وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون تكبير.
So you're seeing here, these are the official military of Syria. These are the ones that are actually committing, the horrendous crimes of ethnically cleansing the Druze right now. We started something very interesting in the beginning. The Druze have a nickname in the Middle East called Bani Ma'ruf. That's one of the names that they had when they had to keep their identity secret under Islam. One of the names was Bani Ma'ruf. He called them Bani Zayyun. Bani Sayyun, meaning you are the children of Zion. Now, the Druze have been blamed again and again and again that they actually love Israel. And that is enough to get you killed in these regions if you love Israel. But that's a very strong reminder. If they kill their own citizens just for blaming them that they love Israel, what do you think they're going to do for Israelis? What do you think they're going to do for Jews? We've seen these images.
It's like some kind of first blood libel. It's like yeah. you love the Jews and therefore you should be killed. And but it's important to understand that video. That was a video of somebody who's pro-regime showing the amount of armament.
Yeah.
And the well-funded armament. It looks good. It looks like there's a lot of good cars there, a lot of new cars, a lot of AK-47s. A lot of damage can be made by these people. So that was the video. That video is meant to scare, just to make it clear. That's a terror type, like we're coming after you. What was he saying? What was his verbiage?
He was saying that you thought you can split Syria into two. You thought that you can receive your own autonomous, and we're going to come and show you.
In the 30s, there was a discussion. Before the 30s, there was a discussion that the Syrian region, the Druze region in Syria and the Golan Heights would be its own area called Jabal Druze, would be kind of its own country. The Druze also have their own flag. So he's saying, you're not going to split off and you're not going to take the land with you. We're going to kill you off and that land is going to come back to us. Am I right about that?
That's exactly what he's saying. And also to further add, what you saw here, that's a glimpse of all the weaponry that they brought. They brought tanks, they brought artillery, they brought Grad rockets. These are heavy Russian rockets that Hezbollah used to threaten Israel with. And from what I'm hearing from my sources in Syria, I have relatives in Syria and I know people on the ground, including reporters that are in the front line fighting and also in their house, protecting their families. They're saying that they're using drones. They've never seen these drones before. It's something new. And when I asked them, where do they get these drones? They all told me in different sources, they got them from Qatar. So there is quite a lot of hints about the Qataris being involved again in funding terrorism in the Middle East.
Wow, that is interesting. Yeah, the drone funding, that's a connection with Iran. That's probably who made them, or Russia.
Using them against civilians.
Let's see another. You mentioned tanks coming into Druze towns. Here's a video showing that.
وطعناهم بأرجلنا وأين سادتهم الآن ما دفنوا خلفتهم جيفا لا الطير تقربهم ولا التراب يواريهم ولا العسل يا فاتح الشام نصر بعد مهلكة أودت بقوم أبيدوا بعدما لعنوا أين العداة وطعناهم بأرجلنا وأين سادتهم للآن ما دفنوا خلفتهم جيفا لا الطير.
All right, so help us understand this video. This is a Druze town being invaded by Syrian forces. Again, we are not showing the super gruesome videos which exist. Yeah, we're not showing them.
It's very important to understand that video that you saw here. It's a flat ground. The Druze and Sweden are on the mountain. Now, what happened is when the forces came, they knew that it's going to be very difficult for them to fight the Druze on their mountains and their own turf. So what they started doing is they started invading villages on the flat land and killing, kidnapping, taking little daughters, killing their parents, and etc., in hope to lure the Druze out to go and fight them. Now, the Druze, as strong as capable they can be and very trained and very brave, they have AK-47, they have sniper guns, maybe Dragunovs, they have a few RPGs. They barely have a DJI drone. So they're not equipped to fight against tanks, against artillery. You saw all these jeeps and convoys of military, very top-graded military equipment, an army, an official army in the Middle East. So in the beginning, the Druze were in a big dilemma, and they went with raids to try to rescue some of these people that got killed, but they were being slaughtered, and they had to pull back to the village, to the mountain of Sweden. So what we saw here is one of the invasions. I think they took about 6 to 7 of these villages. They conquered them and probably, killed anyone who was there that didn't run in time. Right now, we know of maybe 300 official confirmed killed, but they cut the internet on them. They cut the water, the electricity. So the numbers are going to come later on. So I don't want to speculate, unnecessary numbers, but it seems to be very clear that they're just ethnically cleansing them.
Right. Let's see. You mentioned the Druze fighters and that they are themselves ready for war, ready for conflict. They may not be as well armed. And just to add one more piece on that, there is a clear call from the Druze in Syria and their family in Israel that Israel support them, especially air support. What I've heard, and again, it's not all clear, what I've heard is that the request is for air support from these big motorcades, these big tank columns and all that, but we'll supply the fighters. We need the underground fighters, including what's being asked. And I saw an article written by an Israeli Druze saying, like, what did we train for? Are we only here to train to fight the Jewish wars? We also want to fight. You trained us. We want to protect our brothers and sisters. So let us go fight. There's a big tension right now about letting Israeli soldier Druze cross the border. Some crossed without permission. I don't want to say the word illegally. They went to protect their families, but they crossed without permission. There's a lot of concern. The Israeli concern is that what if hostages are taken? What if Druze hostages are taken? How are we gonna do that? Let's just take a quick look at a video of Druze fighters and their their show that they're ready to fight.
والله لا ترجع والله لا ترجع والله لا ترجع جيناكم.
All right, help us understand what we just saw.
They're telling them there that if you come to our mountain, you will not go back home.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a lot of Druze messages that were sent through the years there that if you come in peace, you'll be welcome in peace. Druze are known for the hospitality, but if you come to harm us, this will be your grave. And that is them telling them you're not going to go back. You come here, you're not going to go back because they know what they're coming for.
Here's another aspect of the Syrian Druze and what flag they're flying. Check this out.
This is actually Israeli Druze that went into Syria, and what they did is they put the Israeli flag in Sweden, and they say, "We dare you to come and take it down." Now, they're speaking the language of the local men. They're kind of, symbols are very important in the Middle East. Messages are very important in the Arab world, so they're sending them a message: come and try to take it down. And before you show the next video that I translated, this is the main reason right now while many Druze are running into Sweden. Now, I don't encourage and I don't support crossing the border like that, like you said, illegally, and running for several reasons. And one of them is also for the safety of these people. You're entering an enemy country by yourself, you're running there, but also it complicates the operation for the IDF. I was an officer in the IDF, I was in the special forces, I was in the defense and in the offense, I was behind enemy lines, I was in our own borders. I know how complicated things can be. Now, these people are going there without any tags on them, without uniform. It's going to make things harder for the IDF later on if they choose to go and strike more. Now they need to know, are they our citizens? Are they not? And Israel takes very seriously care of their citizens. So I don't encourage what they're doing, but let me explain to you why they're doing it. Because in the next video, and I translated it to English and to Hebrew, it's a recording that was sent to the soldiers of El Jawlani, not only to the jihadists, and it's basically telling them, please don't use your cameras when you're slaughtering people. You can kill them, you can shave their beards, cut their throats. We did that mistake, and they're referring to the days where they did that mistake on the Christians, where we filmed it all. Don't do that mistake again. Burn them if you need. And then he's adding something very important. He's saying Israel is hunting us down now by the Air Force. Hence, stop gathering in big numbers out in the open and start jumping into houses and using people as human shields. And your vehicles, hide them inside their neighborhood. So Israel, which is a very moral country, will hesitate and if not even cancel an attack because they don't know if there's children in the house. Israel will literally go to canceling an entire strike just for the slight chance that there's a baby or an innocent person in the house. I've been on that side of this decision making. I know how it works. I was seeing that live with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears when Israel canceled operations because we said we don't know for 100% that there's not an innocent person there. So when the Druze heard that, and they see how tanks are raiding inside the Druze mountains and walking and killing and butchering, and the Druze people there are fighting for their life, the Druze understood right now that if the Druze men fall down, in Syria alone, you have almost 1 million Druze. It's like about 700,000-800,000 Druze, some say 9,000. In Sweden alone, there's about 600 to 700 of them right in Sweden. If they fall down on October 7th, the one that saved everyone in the end and contained the massacre, the slaughter, the genocidal attempt of Hamas was the IDF. The civilians went first, fought, special forces joined them, police, but the IDF came and contained. So no one can kill, so they didn't reach Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and Beersheba. In Syria, there's no one to contain the massacre, because the government is doing the massacre. So the Druze in Israel are understanding that we are on the verge of an October 7 on steroids. We're talking October 7 of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Because once the warriors will fall or the ammunition fall down, there will be no one to stop them from slaughtering. And that's what made the Druze jump over the fence and said, we're running there, because airstrikes is good, but it's not enough. You need to go and pluck these people out of the
first line of defense. Make sure that they don't cross that defense and then do a whole slaughter. Hey, folks, exactly. we're talking about a real situation here. Syrian Druze are in a lot of trouble. The official Syrian government, the former jihadis who are now the government, and who were, by the way, just on the verge of signing normalization deals with Israel, with America. Partially, things were already signed. Is now in a war where Israel is bombing the defense ministry of the Syrians. We're going to get to that in a second. Before, let's play that video that you were talking about the directives to the soldiers. Do what you got to do, but don't film it. We've made that mistake before. Don't gather in large areas outside. Hide your vehicles amongst the civilian population. Let's check out this video.
أبنائنا وأخوتنا الأبطال بالسويدة الجيش العربي السوري والأمن العام. إن رجاء كبير عندكم ضبوا هواتفكم بجيوبكم. لا تسحب هاتف ولا تصور وتبعت لنا. لا تصور انت عم تحلق لي الشارع بعرصه. طق رقبته على السكت. ولا تمشوا في ارتال الله يحميكم. الطيران الاسرائيلي عم يستهدفكم. سياراتكم بين البيوت ضمن الاهالي. فوتوا على البيوت وتحصنوا بالبيوت وتحرقوا الاخضر واليابس. لا تستثني حدا. كلهم خنازير. بس الهواتف نسيتوا صار معكم مع اخوتكم بالساحل. في كثير منهم بعدهم بسجل لهلا. اطفي هاتفك بترجاك.
And then they call Israel committing a genocide, but they don't speak anything about these guys that are officially saying, go and kill them all. Just please don't film it.
Right. They don't
spare the women and the children.
Right. No, of course not. All right, let's see. Now, Israel has engaged. Israel has a moral obligation. It also has a political need to do it. Why? Because if Israel doesn't do it, then A, we have a lot of Druze citizens here in Israel. And B, we have all kinds of allies. We need to stand with our allies or else our name is mud in the Middle East. Let's take a look at incredible, crazy footage of the Syrian Ministry of Defense being struck, which means, folks, that we're at war with Syria.
Yeah.
Let's take a look here.
قصف جديد ما بنهاية الأركان خالص. قصف جديد يا شباب. قصف خطونا بسرعة 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 بسرعة.
إذا استهدافنا من نهاية الأركان بشكل كامل.
قصف ثاني.
دمروه.
This is
the
What are they saying, Mansur? What are they saying?
They said they destroyed us, they struck us, they brought it, they completely obliterated. He's just, filtering every word that comes to his head.
Here's the same video, but from inside.
احتلال الإسرائيلي إسرائيل كاتس إن الجيش سيواصل مهاجمة قوات
As if someone in the Mossad was sitting and said, wait, let her say Israel Katz. When she said Israel Katz, boom.
She was talking about Israel's defense minister. The minute she's talking about Israel's defense minister, the defense ministry behind her blew up. It is.
That's like, I don't know. It can't be a coincidence. It's just too good. It was too good. Right. But that is very serious. That is a serious declaration. You cannot declare more war than that. In their capital, their Pentagon just blew to pieces as a sign that Israel is not playing game. And I think that is something that we need to respect about Israel today. Israel 2.0, not Israel before October 7. Israel that understands that in the Middle East, you don't talk, you do. In the Middle East, you don't ask for respect, you demand it, you prove it, you make them respect you. And I spoke today with deputy spokesman of the Knesset. And he was telling me, that's from what they're understanding there, he was saying very clearly that we're not only doing a favor to the Druze here. We are obligated for them, and they are brothers in arms, and we will stand with them just like they stood with us. But these enemies are our enemies. These dushkas and tanks and artillery, they will be used against us. And rest assured, if you see them, what they're doing to the Druze, they will do it to the Jews as well. This is Al-Qaeda. So Israel have a clear interest here. First of all, you don't want terrorists to have tanks.
That's right.
Quite clear. Take them out. You don't want terrorists to have drones. It's very clear. And also, if you don't protect your allies, you're perceived as weak. So today they kill your allies, tomorrow they will kill you.
That's right.
That's very clear.
That's right. And I think a little bit of this whole thing is not a little bit, a lot of it is min Allah. I think that it's from God, because had we allowed the situation to continue and that they would amass more arms and more arms, had they played it smart, then we would have faced a much worse problem down the line. And I think that this came just in time before they, made the fake show like the Palestinian Authority makes of trying to make peace, but in fact are arming for attack on Israel. But at the same time, the situation right now is horrific. Let's take a look at a few article titles, and a few things that are being written about in the media, and just kind of discuss it quickly. We'll go through it quickly. First thing, it's this one in which we're seeing that Northern Command Chief saying we're operating decisively in Al-Suwaida. The commander of Northern Command, MG Ori Gordon, who by the way I served under, warns that riots near the northern border divert efforts from the operations to protect Druze in Syria from the Syrian regime. So there's a message right now to the Druze of Israel saying, listen, don't cross the border, and we're doing our best, and you're hampering our operations, and don't make a big fuss at the border because we need that. What do you think about that quickly?
I think as an officer, I agree 100%. As a Druze and as a citizen and as someone, who cares about the Jews in Syria, I can understand the emotions where it's coming from. Remember when October 7 happened, there were civilians who just left everything and ran. Druze and Jews, some of them were Muslims even, they just ran. Christians ran and went to the inferno to protect the Jewish people that were being slaughtered. So there is a lot of emotions bottled here. There's a lot of emotions. If you're a Druze young man and you just saw a video of a mother seeing her daughters, I've saw that video, shot in front of her, and she's sitting there crying, and then another video of an old, religious sheikh being, shaved and then killed, and a whole chilwe. That's like the synagogue of the Druze with like 70 people inside, all gathered. That can turn you into berserk. That can
100%.
really make you rage. That can make you go nuts, and you want to go there and defend them.
Absolutely, it's perfectly sensical and perfectly Middle Eastern.
It's not the smart thing to do, but I understand where they're coming from. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say let the professionals do it. Let the IDF do it. They know how to do it. But in the end, here's the problem. Israel is doing a lot, but it's not enough. I'm talking to stop it because the slaughter is still continuing. And the question is how far we as Israel are willing to go to defend. And I want to make that clear also. We, the Druze, are not expecting Israel to do it. Israel shouldn't do it. This is an enemy country that's slaughtering their own citizens of that enemy country. And Israel is right now involved with 7 fronts fighting different wars for 600 days already. They're depleting their weapons. They're exhausting their fighters and their warriors and their civilians. And now to go and engage with another war for citizens of another country that are not even Jews. Israel is a Jewish state. So that just shows you, first of all, the greatness of the Jewish people and of Israel and how they stand by their allies. And this will be marked in the books of history that Israel was probably one of the only countries that stood by their allies to that level. I'll tell you an example. There is Christians being genocide in Sudan. America doesn't go to war with them. America is Christian. Europe is Christian. There's Christians being killed all over the Muslim world. They're not going for them. So Israel is going to defend minorities that are not even Jews in a foreign land. So that's insane that they're doing it. But with the air, now the question is, should they go now by force, by foot? Should we risk IDF soldiers to enter there? That's a very serious dilemma. And I would not think that a single Druze in Israel will tell you, yes, do that. Will tell you, let us do that. I'm a highly trained Druze special forces operator, Shabaknik. I was in the Mossad and all kinds of stuff. They will tell you these things. Let me go and do it. Let me go and train them. Let me go and fight beside them. And I think you cannot really hold that against them, because if the Jews were being massacred in another country, you'll have plenty of Jews right now leaving what they're doing, going and saying, I'm going to stand with you.
Right.
So
let's just see 2 more articles. First, this one, Israel's foreign minister, Sar, says escalating violence against minorities in Syria. He's warning about that, urges international action to prevent further atrocities and regional instability, calling to the world. What else needs to happen? International community amid Syrian bloodbath. Of course, as usual, if it's not an effort to try to shrink Israel, then nobody jumps into that soup, right? Only when there's an opportunity to shrink Israel do you have the international world condemning. In this case, nobody gives a damn about the Druze. So he's talking about that. I don't know if he's going to get anything, but I think this article is very important, and that's Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, who's the chief rabbi of Tzfat, which is a northern community, importantly, because he's living amongst Druze as well, says we have a moral obligation to help the Druze. Tzfat chief rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu notes that the Jewish community longstanding contributions to the state of Israel, in addition to the principles that all humans are created in the image of God and called to defend Syrian Druze. So there's 2 sides here. One is like a general morality. Another one is a more specific, which is like, look, the Druze are part of our army. They protect us. We got to give them a chance to protect them. And I think there's another side, which you mentioned before, which is you don't want to see these jihadis driving around in tanks on your borders, killing your allies. That's just not going to be, good for you in the long run.
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you even more. Syria right now They were an enemy of Israel. They're still an enemy of Israel. Have no doubt. The only ones who are not enemies of Israel in Syria are probably the Druze and the Christians, some Alawites, and maybe small, minor, groups of Muslims there. Really small. They're very hidden. But the rest of them, they are enemies of Israel. They rejoiced when 9/11 happened. There's just a video of Jolani saying when he was asked, "Were you happy when 9/11 happened?" And he said, "I would lie to you if I wasn't." Every Muslim was. So they are enemies of Israel. Now, the Syrian army, and I'm coming right now as a military person, they're on the bottom of the food chain right now of military capabilities in the Middle East. They're literally probably the most pathetic and useless military force. They're very brave and strong against women and children, but in general, they're not strong at all. Should we wait for them to become strong and then deal with them? Or should we wipe them out? You understand now who they are. They showed their true face now. Should we go and wait for them to attack us, or should we go and attack them first? If you ask me, from a strategic point of view, Damascus need to be flattened. Let them learn. You mess with Israel, you mess with the Druze, become the next Gaza. Let them have that message. They'll be terrified. They will respect you. They'll run away. I think in general, now I'm not a Jewish messianic person, but I think that any person in the Middle East living under Israel, under Jewish authority right now, is probably the luckiest person in the Middle East. If you ask me, Israel should go and say, F you guys, just go until Sueda, make that part of Israel. Anyone that, get out of here. That's it. That's part of Israel. It's not part of you. It wasn't yours from the beginning. It was Christians.
It could also be an independent area down the line. Could be an independent area.
Let it be independent.
Just part of a unity with Israel. It could be a state that's our protectorate, but an independent Syrian state. A Druze state. Within the area that was formerly known as Syria.
That would be the best outcome.
This was the idea in the 30s. I think the French killed it, but that was the idea. So
I tell you what terrifies them. It terrifies them that this will happen for one particular reason. Because if the southern part of Syria will become an independent, let's say Druze Christian Alawite state, with borders with Israel, and they will not be with war with Israel, I'll bless those who bless you. I'll curse those who curse you. You know what's going to happen there? It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be stable. There's going to be economy. There's going to be education. There'll be science. You'll start seeing their teenagers, like in Israel, Druze teenagers sending a satellite to space. There'll be art. There'll be tourism. It will flourish. And nearby of them, the religion of peace, with all of its might and its glory, is going to still another failing Muslim country in the world. And it's just going to show again and again that the problem in the Middle East is Islam. It's not Judaism. It's not Christianity. It's not Druze. It's not any other religion. Let's call it as it is. Let's stop hitting around the bush. Let them prove otherwise. And how can you prove otherwise? By actually changing. They're not changing. They're going right now, beheading people in the streets. They're going out chanting Allahu Akbar with excitement as they're killing little children. What kind of animals do that? And that's what they're doing. So I think any minority in Syria, whoever want to have future and security, needs to detach itself from the Muslims and have their own independence. And if Israel will help the Druze to have that.
Don't forget that in the region, we do have Muslims who are aligned with Israel, who are anti-jihad. For example, the Kurds, right? So I would a little bit just say, let's call those folks that you're talking about, they're jihadists. They're jihadists. Islam comes from, there's other forms. There's Sufi Islam. There's Kurdish Islam. There's all kinds that know how to be more normal. But certainly your point is well made. It's very clear what you're talking about. These folks.
I would agree. I have personally great Muslim friends. But in general, in the big picture right now in Syria, we're talking about Syria right now. The problem in Syria is the Sunni Muslims. It's not anyone else. They're the ones who want to kill anyone else. The Christians don't want to kill them. The Jews don't want to kill them. The Jews don't want to kill them. They're the one who want to kill everyone else. So that problem, let them play their own jihad games by themselves and take all the minorities and help them establish. Israel will secure a peaceful border, and Israel will also show the Middle East what it means, a true peace, because the Jews and the Druze are the best example for that. We're living side by side, and we chose love, compassion, brotherhood over hate and racism. And it works. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure with the Christian Arabs that can work, with the Druze Arabs that can work, maybe even with the Alawites that might work with after all that they've been through. With the Sunni in Syria, it's not going to work. Maybe in 50 years, 25 years minimum, that's one generation to disappear, but I doubt it. That's what it is in Gaza. You haven't seen a single saint
Well,
coming
with
out.
bad guys, they have to know that Israel, if they can't fix their minds and if they can't fix their ideology, they at least have to fear and to know that they can't mess with Israel and with the Druze and with the Kurds and with the other minorities. This is the opportunity. I think that you're right. I think there's an opportunity here for the Druze, for Israel to be more defended, for bad guys to be pushed back in a strategic sense, like you're talking about. There is an opportunity here, but right now, I think that we've done enough on today's show to help people understand what's going on. Let's finish off, though, with a prayer that with the help of God, Bezrat Hashem, inshallah, as we say, that
Inshallah.
the Druze community will survive this strongly, that there won't be one more Druze person hurt through this, that the jihadis will be pushed back, if not destroyed totally, and that this moment will actually make both of our communities, both of our countries, our lands safer and stronger. I want to thank you very much, Mansur, for joining us. Mansur Ashkar, he's an Israeli Druze, former IDF special soldier, a special officer, a special forces officer, living in Germany. He's an influencer and he's a father. And today we joined together in prayer and also in information about the plight of the Druze. And Bezrat Hashem, things will be better tomorrow.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being with us, Mansur. Tadar Rabba. Thank you for your time. Very much appreciate it. And you heard it here, folks. Yishai Fleisher, broadcasting. You know, I came home today late, but I had to do something about this because I wanted to really get the story out there. And I really do pray for the Druze. And I pray also for the IDF to make good decisions and for everybody to keep smart heads about them and for the jihadis to go. They got to go. God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Don't forget to connect to our channel, Yishai Fleisher TV. You can like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget our store, our YouTube store. It's one of the tabs. Don't forget you can become a member. And you could also join us at buymeacoffee.com/Yishai, as well as Fight for Israel, fightforisrael.org. There's all kinds of fighters for Israel, including the Druze. And so the Jews are with the Druze. And today we are all fighting in a multi-front war. God bless you wherever you are. Lots of love, lots of blessings from the land of blessings, and shalom.